Hello everyone, Marva back with another video on how I prepare for my trip to Africa. Today I will be talking about how I prepare for my trip to Lagos, Nigeria. I was invited to a family introduction in August 2016, which was my first visit. And unlike visiting other places which I have visited in the past, which are Canada, Trinidad and Tobago, Grand Cayman, the Bahamas, and Jamaica on many occasions. Traveling to Lagos, Nigeria required a lot more preparation. Jamaica is also a third world country, but of course, you can find stores like pharmacies, supermarkets. They're very popular. And not only that too, they do open until 10, 11 at night. So should in case of some emergency that you need to get something, you can always find it, and they're very accessible, close location. Because of course Jamaica is a very small island. That may be contributed to that. Okay, there are a few things that I had to do before I traveled. One, I had to get a visa. And after purchasing my ticket, I found out like about maybe 2 months before that I needed a visa. So I Googled online and found a place in Washington, D.C., which was located very close to the Nigerian embassy. So I got the visa, applied through a third-party company. The visa costs me about close to $400. But of course, I had only 6 weeks to 2 months, and I had to do the expedited service. Up on my last visit to Lagos, I found out that there is a visa on arrival. Meaning if you're not able to get your visa here, you can apply online, pay the necessary fees, and then when you get to Lagos, then you can process the visa there. The requirement for the visa that I had to provide were my flight itinerary, and also I had to provide proof of accommodation. The hotel where I was staying, I had to provide them with the reservation, and also my bank statement showing that I do have the resources to fund my trip while I am in Lagos. For those who are going, well, I had friends there, so they sent me an invitation letter, actually, which I sent in with my application. For those going as tourists, then of course they'll need their proof of bank statement showing that they can take care of themselves while they're there, proof of reservation at a hotel, and also the flight reservation. The check-in counter at the airport, while checking in, they will not allow passengers to board the plane to Lagos, Nigeria, unless they have some kind of proof of the visa, either document to support visa on arrival or the proof that they actually have the visa here. Reason for that is if the passenger travels to Lagos and the Lagos custom officers or immigration officers decide that they're not gonna admit you in because you don't have the visa, or proof that you apply online, then it will be at the expense of the airline to have you fly back to where you're coming from. And of course, you know, flying from Miami to Lagos is over $1,000. The airline would not want to take on such expense. So they make sure they ask at the airport, do you have a visa? Can I see your passport? So it is very, very necessary to have that ready. So this is what the visa looks like. As you can see at the top, it says the country right here. And at the bottom here, it says multiple entries. And it's good for 24 months. Also, as for the vaccines, to travel to Lagos, Nigeria, there are a list of vaccines that are approved by the World Health Organization. The ones I had to take are, and I will provide the list here. Even though I have had the measles, polio when I was young, but of course I had no record of it because that was many, many, many years ago in Jamaica. I didn't have the record. So of course I was told that I have to retake them. The vaccines cost me close to $500. There are some of them that are covered by your insurance, like the hepatitis, the measles, but I think the typhoid and yellow fever, those two I had to pay out of pocket. When I discovered that I need these vaccines, I called my healthcare provider, and she told me that she didn't really have these vaccines at her office. So of course I had to go to a travel clinic, which are located pretty much everywhere. They are very, very common. And the reason is these vaccines do expire. And if the doctor's office order them and they're not using them or giving them to patient on a regular basis, then they're going to expire and they're going to lose money. So of course the travel clinics, they do vaccines all the time. So they are always processing and using the ones they have because of the amount of people who come in that are traveling. So of course they always have them on hand because they utilize them very frequently. So like I said before, if you already have your hepatitis, your measles, your yellow fever, or your typhoid fever, or I had to do the Tdap as well. If you have a record that you have had it in the past, then of course you don't have to retake. But like I said before, I didn't have my record because it's been many, 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 many years in Jamaica. So I had to retake these. Information can also be found on the CDC website. If you're not sure, you can go to the Center for Disease Control website, CDC. And there is a lot of information there, as they'll give you the country and they'll give you the list of required vaccine. Some people don't believe in taking vaccine, but the fact that I'm a healthcare clinician for over 35 years, I decided that I will take the necessary precaution. Like I said, it's a matter of choice. However, upon entering Lagos, I had to show this at the airport. They specifically asked me for my health record. So I'm not sure if it's so much of an option at this point. because each time I visit, I had to present my health record to them at the airport. The travel clinics are very, very resourceful. They provided me with a booklet of information. For example, in the event that I lose my passport, there is a phone number and also an address in Ikoyi where I can go and also request document from the American Embassy to travel back to the US. Also, there are other resources such as the different types of first aid measures you can take. Also the mosquito repellent, which is it has to have a specific amount of DEET in it. It's not the regular one that is sold anywhere in the store. I had to purchase the one that is required to prevent to ward off mosquitoes. I had to purchase it online because I was not able to find it in the local stores. Also, there is a specific powder that they also have in their store. And should in case you have food poisoning and you develop diarrhea or vomiting, you open the pouch, you pour it in the water, and it's very, very helpful to hydrate you because of the fluid and the electrolytes that your body is losing from diarrhea or vomiting. So that was very, very helpful. Also, some of the things I make sure I have with me when I traveled, each time I traveled to Lagos. Benadryl, should in case I have a reaction from food or insect bite or anything, Benadryl is very helpful. Painkillers. Also, like I said before, anything to provide hydration. Should in case of a food poisoning or, for diarrhea and vomiting. I also brought Imodium with me, anti-diarrhea medication, because I want to make sure, should in case there's a problem, I have everything there with me. Also, one other important measure to take is anti-malaria drug. On my first trip, my doctor prescribed doxycycline, which is an antibiotic. And what I didn't like about doxycycline was the fact that I had to take, I started taking it 2 days before I traveled, day 1 and 2 before I traveled. And then during my stay there and upon returning to the US, I had to take it for an additional 2 to 2.5 weeks, which I found it was very, very long, and the side effect, if you don't make sure you eat before you take it, upset stomach was one of the side effects that I encountered. So on my subsequent visits, I decided to speak with my healthcare provider, and she recommended Malarone, which is a tablet. And what I like about Malarone is I took 2 tablets, started taking it 2 days before I traveled during my stay, and once I arrived back in the US, I only had to take it for an additional 2 to 3 days. I think it was maybe between 2 and 5 days, which I found it to be more tolerable than having to take doxycycline for over 34 days compared to my first visit.